And you're listening to the Old Tube Radio Network.
How do you do, ladies and gentlemen?
Greetings to you.
Wherever you are, for music and the latest news from home and from afar, the station for you is
OTR, Old Tube Radio.
the station for you is
OTR.
Wow, I think Bozo Control's got them wired in tonight. They're sounding nice and loud. The Old Tube Radio Jingle Singers starting us off as they always do, or at least try to, here in the Old Tube Radio Network. 27085 is where we are at in the Central Valley of California in the RF zone. And we are hanging out here on a Saturday night like we've done for the last 35 years, listening for, talking about, and talking with the Old Tube Radio operators and their Old Tube radios from 1958 to about 1978, when it was all solid state after that. But tonight we're reliving the good old days with the classic tube radios, and we'll see how many we can get to stop by tonight here on the Old Tube Radio Network. We are listening for your radio check-ins.
45.
And there is one right now. Hello, Paul. I'm going to officially sign into the Old Tube Radio Network check-in sheet. We are, what is this, September 2nd, 2017. We've been doing this a while, as have you. And thanks for braving the heat out in the Radio Shack tonight. And we'll tune it back to you here at 8:48 West Coast time and see what kind of radio you are transmitting on. Over.
Okay, it's my General Radio Telephone Super MC12.
Okay, well, the pretty much end of the line for General Radio Telephone, and I'm not even sure on that one. I think you mentioned or something. They didn't even get a super decent FCC type acceptance on that one. We've got a picture at oldtuberadio.net if anybody wants to take a look at it. If you're watching the Google YouTube video, we're going to pop a picture of the MC12, Super MC12, and I think actually this is one of the ones from Paul's collection. It might actually be the one he's talking on. I'm not sure. Anyway, back to you.
Okay, well, that's not the working radio. This radio I'm talking on is the replacement for that radio, so to speak, anyway. Yeah, I want to talk about it a little bit if I could. I'm proud new owner of this radio. It is come from the collection of the late Bob Mellon. He had a great collection of General Radio Telephone and Browning radios and others, too. Just beautiful stuff. He wrote articles in the General Radio Telephone and Browning CB radios in Woody's World, and those are priceless. If you need to know some information, you go to what Bob wrote, and it'll be right. Okay, he always was helpful with me when I needed parts and information or anything. Bob was right there to give me a hand. He was a great guy. Anyway, I'm checking in. This not only owned by Bob, this radio, I'm checking in, but he got it tuned. It's tuned to the max. Thanks, Dennis.
Well, I'll agree with the tune to the max. You really sound great. Got a great signal. And you're not that close. What, 30 or 40 miles away up in the hills, beaconing down. But boy, nice audio as well. The super. Oops, I need to write the radio down in the right spot here. I have a list, and I keep track of who checks in what. And if I don't write it in the right spot, we lose the history here. So General Radio Telephone Super MC12, and I think recently there has been some more of his collection being sold on Facebook, and they've all been really nice looking and large radio like Brownings, and there might have been a Demco and some other things, but I think it was from Bob Millam's collection. I don't want to say he passed away in 2012 or something like that. What you are on is the Super MC12, very much like the Super MC11A. I guess General Radio Telephone was sold to Skyhawk Antenna Company in 1972, and they upgraded the MC12 with a much larger and powerful final audio tube. That's why the audio is so good. But the 11As also sound good, and the MC12 was not able to be type accepted by the FCC. and in theory was the last general radio telephone manufactured, even though we have, what is it, the MC100, the prototype, which never quite made it. Anyway, let's hear some more. It's our first radio through tonight. It's a really nice-looking radio, very solid with the rack handles there. And let's hear the audio again, and remind me the microphone you're using with that. Over.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about the microphone, if you don't mind. I've got another one here. Mike Flynn, this is a stock general radio telephone CSM microphone, and I've got a Turner 350C ceramic high Z. I'd like to plug it in and try it. This mic that I'm going to try is supposed to be identical replacement for the general radio telephone mic. If you don't mind, I'm going to plug it in.
All right, yeah, let's try that. That's why we are here, for people to test microphones. We are recording the audio. We are archiving the audio, and you can get it in the archive button at oldtuberadio.net, and look for today's date with Tube Radio check-ins. And so we'll see how the other microphones sound. I took a look at the S-meter, and we'll go back to you when you are ready to take a transmission.
Okay, I must have woke up some people out there. It sounds like the fits in. Anyway, this is another mic, if you can hear me.
Yeah, it still has loud audio. This one seems to have a little bit more high-frequency punch. And everybody's saying, yeah, I'd like to have some any kind of punch right now. It's hot in here. Give me another transmission. There's some skip or something coming in. I want to see what I think of that.
Yeah, okay. Unless they did something to the mic, this is supposed to be the identical replacement on the thing. I'm not gobbling the microphone, trying to talk just a normal distance from the thing. It seems like it wants to accept it at that distance right there, so how to do?
All right, sounds good. There's not much difference. This one, I think, has a little bit more high frequency, and unless I hear them back-to-back again, I could make a judgment on what I guess Bob Heil calls intelligibility. Which one has a little bit better sound for, I guess, understanding what you're saying. But I certainly understand what you're saying fine. So not much difference, believe it or not, between the two. So it might be a preference on the operator's side if one is a little bit easier to use than the other one. Over.
Yeah, well, this is a brand new mic. Just got it out of the box. I bought 3 or 4 of those things on eBay. I'm glad I did now. So it's a brand new mic. The other has been beat up a little bit. It's been around, so that could be the difference on it right there. Thanks a million, Dennis, for checking in. I wanted to thank Joanne, too, for all the work she did to help me get this radio down here. Boy, she did a nice job of packing. Anyway, that's enough, and thanks a million again for checking it in.
Okay, yeah, if you have a chance and the other microphone is handy, why don't you go ahead and plug that one back in for our SWLs listening in at 27085 or over the internet at oldtuberadio.net. They'll be able to maybe make some comments as well. But if you got the original mic, plug it back in. I'm not sure. I'm thinking I like the first mic better, but that could just be me. They sound very similar from what I recall, but if you've got a chance to plug in the original mic, we'll do that again, and that will help you if you were listening, of course, to the archives as well at oldtuberadio.net. So back to you.
Yeah, by all means, I definitely for the archives. That's really the great thing about this radio station you got, Dennis. Anyway, this is a stock mic. It's a CM3, like I said before, and it's a generator telephone microphone. Or it's got the emblem on it. That's it.
Okay. I'm gonna actually put in a vote. I actually like the stock mic a little bit better. Now, why do I do that? Why do I say that? The gain, the volume, and I don't have a scope hooked up, I think is very similar between the two, but this radio has a little bit more accent on some lower frequencies, and I think it's actually a little bit clearer. Now, you have a pretty decent signal at S9 to 5 over S9, so there's no problem with the signal. If for somebody farther out, or where you're just in their noise level, perhaps the other microphone that has a little bit more high frequency accentuation would be better. But I think for the way I'm hearing it, I have a slight affinity to favor the one you're on now, the original General Radio telephone. Mike, over.
Yeah, okay. Well, you haven't been wrong so far. I'm listening to the archives, and maybe I can discuss it with you next week. Thanks again, Dennis, for all your time.
All right, not a lot of difference because they are both quite loud and making the meter move forward as it should. Radio number one, starting us off on the Old Tube Radio Network here from General Radio Telephone out of beautiful downtown Burbank, California, through 1972 when they sold out to Skyhawk, and they were building radios almost back from 1950. I think the Master Control was 1959, and their last offering here, the Super MC12 in 1972 from General Radio Telephone. Sounding good, and thanks for Paul for bringing it by the Old Tube Radio Network. We are standing by, listening for any and all check-ins. And Paul, if you're listening, Joanne is also tuning in tonight, and I guess giving some internet thumbs up to not only the great sound of the radio, which speaks well of Robert, but your efforts to keep things on the air. So thanks, Paul, for that.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you.
And this is the Old Tube Radio Network. Real Radio is going the dark 27085 on the RF side and everywhere else at oldtuberadio.net, and now on the Google, either the Google YouTube video, where let's see, I'm hearing myself. Let's get rid of that. But I want to say hello to Rich, who's waving a hand to all the Tube Radio operators out here in Central California. Thanks, Rich. And we're listening for radio number 2. And also over on the YouTube side, Dirty Diaper 21 checking in from his Radio Shack tonight, and we are looking for radio number 2 in the Old Tube Radio Network. And it is a holiday weekend. Sometimes things go a little slowly when we are on a holiday weekend style. The other thing is it has been excessively hot. We are in the middle of a heat wave, so a lot of people, even when it's, was it still 90 something degrees outside, it is 90 degrees here in the Radio Shack, so a lot of people really like to be outside barbecuing or swimming or doing things like that. So we'll see if we can coax somebody into the Radio Shack tonight to tune in some radios, OTR listening.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, your favorite slot on the dial by far is known to you as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
And frequency's pretty quiet. We had something coming through earlier. I'm not sure if that was some local traffic or E-skip. It doesn't seem like it was E-skip, but you just never know on these kind of sultry, I think that's a word we used earlier, evenings here. We do get some short skip up and down the West Coast. OTR is looking for radio number 2.
right?
And hello, Paul, on the Old Tube Radio Network. I've got you over.
Yeah, I wonder where everybody's at. My goodness, it's quiet tonight. It's not like the usual night. Anyway, I want to check in this Lafayette HE-20C.
All right, the Lafayette into the HE series. There was an HA and an HB, I think, and an HE. And you have the Hotel Echo. I believe you said it was a Hotel Echo 20 Charlie. We'll see if we have a shot of that, and we'll go back to you for some audio. In fact, it looks like we've got a shot of maybe the one you are with your transmission. We'll see. Anyway, back to you.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, it's identical one, I think. It's mine, though. Well, yeah, it's identical one. Anyway, I'm using a JT-30 static microphone thing. It's got a crystal element in the thing. And they are kind of an expensive little mic to be using on this. I think they used to go for quite about $100 on eBay. I don't know what they're doing now. But anyway, this probably a microphone works more than the radio. Anyway, it's a nice radio. Back to you.
Nice, good audio, good signal. I didn't look at the S meter, but I will do that. See if you have, the signal similar to what you were doing with the general radio telephone. This is I forget about this. This is one of my favorite Lafayettes. I like the sort of mid-century modern stylish going on with the trapezoidal speaker grill rather than just a square, and sort of the boomerang-shaped dial on that. And it looks to me as if that is a tunable receive over.
Yeah, it's correct. You can control how you use crystals on the thing. You go either way. My crystal's a little weak on the receive, so I'm using the BFO. But right on the top left-hand top of this thing, you could just take 2 screws out and get to all the crystals, which makes it real handy. Lafayette's had a lot of good functions on the thing. Got a big S meter on the thing, and just overall, just a nice old radio. Back to you.
Yeah, one of the earlier Lafayette's, 10 Sam's Photo Fax 5, page 65. I believe these were all made in the U.S. Before they had the Japan or overseas chassis. I see that at Old Tube, anybody wanting more information about this, at oldtuberadio.com, there is a schematic online for the HE-20C. Good audio, nice loud audio. I'm going to say it's up there with the Super MC-12. I took a look at the S meter. Your signal is about an S unit, 6 dB, about an S unit lower on modulation peaks than with the Super MC-12, but we got a low noise level tonight, so there's no problems copying you. I was detecting a slight AC note with the microphone there. It didn't seem to be all that bad that time, and it's way, way below your audio. I'm not sure where that was coming from, but in the meantime, everything looks and sounds good. Give us another transmission on the Lafayette HE-20 Charlie.
Yeah, this is a real nice microphone, I'll tell you. And the radio really likes it. The meter's showing that it's doing a good job on the thing. So I'm real proud of it. Nice old radio, definitely a keeper. Thanks a million for checking it in.
All right, and thanks a million for bringing it by. That is why we have been doing this for so many years, because even on holiday weekends, our radio operators will grab some time to hit into the radio room and share our collections with us. Paul has a quite extensive collection of many different radios, and tonight sharing his second one, the Lafayette HE-20C. Old tube radio, and there's the picture. If you're looking at the video, there's the panel, secret panel he was talking about to get into those, change those crystals. So I think the engineering, that's what I like a lot of these radios, the technical side and the engineering, a lot of it was done and they were obviously operators, because they did some nice things that would work well for operation of the radio. The Old Tube Radio Network, World Radio is glowing in the dark. Thanks, Paul. We are looking for Radio 3.
Yeah, I know Harvey's going to be in there, but he doesn't get around till about 10, 11 o'clock. He said he's going to be in tonight. Anyway, now I'll get off here and get on another radio. Thanks, Dan.
All right, yeah, it's probably really hot in his Radio Shack tonight. Crazy Bob is on the line on the video tonight, and he is he does his own radio show, but he does it on the I don't know if you're AM or FM, Bob, but anyway, I'm glad you are checking in tonight. And he says he has 4 or 5 of the Lafayette H20 series, the A, B, and C. In his, he calls it in my "you pull it" pile. So I don't know if that is a good thing or a bad thing. But Bob spinning the oldies out there, and has a great website where many of these radios, which we are hearing tonight, there are some other conversations. So thanks, Bob, for checking in about the Lafayettes here on the Old Tube Radio Network. Just a reminder, you are listening to the Old Tube Radio Network here on a Labor Day holiday weekend. Now, back in the day when these radios were, brand new out of the box, and I believe they don't do it anymore, but a lot of you might remember sitting around the television and watching Mr. Jerry Lewis and that Labor Day telethon that was on. I don't know which networks carried it. But boy, that was sort of a standard for Labor Day weekend for sure. And a standard here is your Tube Radios, and we're standing by. We take any and all check-ins. If you didn't get in the SWL site, I've still got the SWL list around here somewhere on the table. So we are looking for radio number 3. Hello, 45. Oh, some rough audio there, but we'll work it out. Take a transmission.
Okay. Well, hopefully it won't wake it up out there. Anyway, keep in mind my Lafayette Comstat 25A.
All right, so Lafayette Comstat 25 Radio 3. Let me see if I can find something about that. It has the classic sound of flat topping. So I'm just wondering if you are running an amplified microphone, you may have too much gain going in, but I am not quite sure. Take another transmission.
Well, thank you. I don't have my meter on it. Yeah, I am. Okay, sorry about that. a little too close to the microphone, I believe.
Okay, yeah, and the flat topping is gone. We might be able to go down just a little bit more, and that is something. I'm glad you demonstrated to us a melody of real tube radios, and that is the we'll call it flat topping or distorted audio, because at some point the FCC started mandating little limiter and clipper circuits so that you were not allowed to do that, so that your radio wouldn't do that, and thereby also squashing the fact that you could at least get as much audio as possible out of the radio before the little gremlins inside say, no, you don't. So for those of you who grew up on the transistor radios with all the circuitry for modulation limiting, that is what happens when you drive the radio more than it wants to. And it is easily adjustable from the operator side, as Paul is demonstrating for us. Back to you on the Lafayette Comstat 25A.
Okay. I hope it didn't go down too far. That's the whole thing about these old Turner SSB Plus 2s. You got to watch it, or you won't over-modulate them. As you know, the 3s come out, and you don't have to worry about that on things. You still don't want to run much over 100, that's for sure. It should be better now.
Yeah, you've got it dialed in. I wouldn't touch a thing. I think you're there. You sound like Paul. I've got plenty of audio on the radio, and I'll check out some S-meter readings and other things on the next transmission. We've got a shot of the classic 25A. That to me is sort of like the E.F. Johnson Messenger 223. This is a standard. It doesn't look like furniture. It's not real utility like the early radios. It has the S-meter, the 23 channels, the speaker, the CBPA, a mod light. This is your standard old tube radio right here. That really was made the day back in the mid to late 60s, before they started fancying them up, and so you could, I guess, secret them and stick them in the living room, and the XYL would be happy. Give us another transmission. I'm seeing if I have any information on the. Yeah, I do. So we'll talk about it the next time around. Back to you.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know this thing. I got the range boost on. I'm gonna turn it off right there. I don't know when I checked this thing in. I must have left it on by accident. I always try to leave the range boost off on the thing. Go up to it if I need it. But that should have made quite a difference. Maybe I got it too much low. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you now. And that's what the range boost a lot of times added a little bit of low frequency in the modulation, which that one does. Accentuates low. So you can go ahead and kick the gain up a little bit on the microphonium now.
Okay, that's about where it was before, right there.
Okay, that's not bad. You might be able to go up a little bit more if you wanted to, but I think we are working okay. And that is the nice thing. Let's see, the range boost, if you're watching the video, it is this switch, I believe, under the meter. And yours, Paul, is working. Sometimes we have stations that will give us the range boost demonstration, and lo and behold, nothing will happen, or the switch will be bad. Like I have around here, a lot of bad switches, and will actually turn itself off when it's supposed to be on. So typically, if you had a stock hand microphone unamplified, you'd run the range boost, and if you had an amplified microphone, you could turn the range boost off and amplify it at the microphone, or do the balancing act between the two, which we're trying to do now. This was, I think, the first import radio for Lafayette. This was a imported radio from Japan. It would run a 12-volt DC or 115-volt AC, depending on the cord you had in the back. It would tap different portions of the transformer there to run 12 volts or 115 volts. And if you go to oldtuberadio.com, there is an operator's manual online. Back to you on radio number 3.
Yeah, it's a modulation light on the right-hand side on this thing that really flashes real good. Pretty neat radio. The meter and everything's working great. I put the range boost back on and back off in the mic a little bit. So that should about clear it up. Till I put a 3 on here, then I won't have that problem. Back to you guys.
Okay, yeah, it's working good. I hear a little bit of room echo, but you are in a quiet room. I think if there was a TV going, or you had the Yahtzee game going on in the background, Kelly was doing the Yahtzee game or something, we would hear a little bit of audio from that, but doing a good job. Your Ask Me to Reading, believe it or not, is kind of in between where I was picking up the general radio telephone, a little bit less than that, but a little bit more than the HE20C, and the audio is good. I'm still thinking I like, for clarity, the audio on the other two radios, but this one working fine. The classic Lafayette Comstat 25-way, we used to check in a lot of those back 30 years ago. It's very rare that we hear any Lafayettes now, and I'm not sure why, because they are a real workhorse radio, and they sold a lot of them. I think the price point was pretty decent. Radio number 3, the Lafayette Comstat 25A, from Paul up in North Fork. Thanks for bringing it by.
Yeah, you're welcome. I don't know why you don't show more of them. They don't go for very much money on eBay and everything. They're a neat radio. Okay, well, this is 1968 radio. That's about right what you're talking about. All right, thanks again, Dennis.
And Crazy Bob giving us some info here. The HB400, he says, was the first Lafayette to import from Japan, so it actually went back a little bit earlier than I thought, and that was in 1964. And they had, and we've had a couple of radios that check in with the new Vista front ends, which really was a big improvement on some of the front end stuff. So there you go. Thanks, Bob, for the info on that. And the old Tube Radio Network, we're looking for radio number 4.
How do you do? Ladies and gentlemen, greetings to you. Wherever you are, the friendliest station for you by far is known to all as
OTR, the Old Tube Radio Network.
the station for you is
OTR.
Breaker OTR.
And the breaker for OTR, that's the Old Tube Radio Network. Go ahead, over.
Yes, this is SWL 40 checking in a CB tube type transceiver.
Okay, I hear something talking back to you there, but I have a spot, radio number 4 here on the list, and I think we can do that. I'm just listening in. I have such strange audio coming in with me. Also, before I get started, I want to check in JT over on the digital side at oldtuberadio.net, and he is SWL 83. SWL 83 on our list, and get him checked in and welcome JT aboard. He's been listening in for some time now, and he's probably got radio collections of his own. Not sure if he's into the tube radios or not, but we hopefully are checking in some stuff tonight that suits his fancy. Thanks, Mr. JT, at oldtuberadio.net. And Larry, I've got you at Radio 4. Tell us about your glow-in-the-dark radio.
Okay, this radio is it's mostly a tube radio. There's 9 tubes in it, but there are transistors on the back of it. So it's not completely tubes, but it'll probably pass. All right, so we have a Gemtronics GTX 5000 40-channel CB transceiver.
All right, one of the few, and there were few 40-channel radios that came out, was it 1976 when they changed things over? Boy, going to 40 channels, the FCC pretty much killed off the 23-channel radios. Anybody remember the prices plummeting? I remember the blowout at Sears when they had the Road Talkers for like, I don't know, what, $30. They used to go for close to $200. Just nobody wanted a 23-channel radio anymore. And as you went into the mid-70s, you started seeing a lot of things get solid-stated in the radios that were still tubes, and I guess the GTX 5000 is no exception. That was another Panasonic chassis, not unlike the Lafayette earlier that we did, but this was a little different model of that, similar to the Robin T240D and the T-Berry T, Shakespeare, the Colt, Midnight Special. This was the 40-channel Lafayette chassis, and it always sounds good. This was a good radio to have, and it's working good for you. Over.
Yeah, I haven't gone to investigate the microphone and, try to make it sound better. So maybe I'll do that the next week or two. So with that, I'm going to be signing out because we have a train approaching, and it's very soon that I'm not going to be able to hear you, or anyone else for that matter, here in Chinatown on 27085.
All right, the Gemtronics GTX 5000, as Larry enjoys the Tango Romeo Alpha India November. There are a few tracks that run through Fresno. I think it's Southern Pacific and something else. The Amtrak goes through, and then a lot of the big freight trains as they go up and down the Central Valley. Fresno, like many towns here in the Central Valley, was a big stop for the railroad in the 1800s and all the way up through, well, today, but I'm going to say in the 50s, 1950s, when started using it less and less. There are actually a couple of train intersections where I see a sign that says "Train will not sound horn," and that's more in the residential sections. Larry's more in a business district down there, so I think they go ahead and toot the horn the way they want. Speaking of audio on the Gemtronics that you may be checking with microphones, unlike the Lafayette that we had earlier that didn't have a lot of the limiters and things built in, by the time they got to 1976 and 77, they did have one. And I have a note here. We're not giving you any type of advice, but just letting you know that you can remove the limiter in that Gemtronics GTX 5000 chassis, and that this goes, I guess, for all the other models that use that, by clipping, was it D diode? Is that what that is? D601, and that's taking the limiter out. And the note says it really gives the mic audio more highs and low range. And it probably requires the operator to do a little bit of microphone adjusting to keep from splattering, but we have great operators, and I know they can do that. Radio number 4, Larry on his Gemtronic GTX 5000. I hope the train made it through, and thanks for bringing it by.
Okay, and yes, the train has gone and passed, and they always honk the horns here in this area in Chinatown. In fact, they actually honked the horns a little too much, and some of the trains are very loud. That one wasn't so bad. I was able to not have to don on the ear protection. So yeah. All right. This is SWL 40 signing off.
And Larry, there is probably no, what do you call them, conductors, engineers? I don't know what they call them now. I don't know what they do, and they're not shoveling coal or anything. There are probably none of them left. They've probably all retired, but when I was studying my Morse code back 30 years or so, I read that the railroad operators, and of course, telegraphy was used a lot for the railroads, way back when. But they used the letter Q for their horn. And what that is, the letter Q in CW is da, da, dit, da. So I always listened, if I ever heard a conductor, an engineer using the tooting the horn, going ta, ta, tit, ta, something like that. And I think I heard it a couple times, but probably not in the last 25 years. So if that was something that was done, it's probably a really old school thing. But now that I've planted that in your mind, and I know you know Morse code a little bit, listen for the cue. Listen to see if you hear any old school conductors and engineers tooting that cue as they pass through the intersection. The Old Tuber Radio Network. And also waving a hand up to the Pacific Northwest, where we are not hearing any of the short skip tonight. But Tim Tron, Timothy, listening in at oldtuberadio.net and on his device. He's got one of those great Radio Shacks, and I'm trying to get mine back up into shape. Where I think he's got pretty much from DC. What is it, from 60 hertz to DC? It's any radio that will transmit on various frequencies. So thanks, Tim, for waving a hand here at the Old Tube Radio Network tonight, where things are a little slow. It is really warm outside. We're in a big heat wave here in Central California, so a lot of people shying away from jumping into the radio rooms. We're back up to 91 degrees here in the one here with all the heat makers, and it is a holiday weekend, Labor Day, so a lot of people might be out doing things. But we appreciate those who stop by, wave a hand, and bring us by some radios. We are looking for radio number 5, and if the Jingle Singers are ready, let's hear the latest from our exclusive Old Tube Radio Jingle Singer.
You're listening in the latest style at
27.085 megahertz. Channel 11 Old Tube Radio.
In wonderful
Fresno, California.
just looking at. I got to find a better place to display the. Where is it? The on the air plaque. Back up in here. I need a better background for that. That was a special on the air sign here that SWLs 84, 86, 87, and 88 bestowed upon the old Tube Radio Shack here. And one of my rituals as I get ready to do the video is to make sure that that is illuminated and ready to go. And it's got a clear, like a Lexan background, so I probably need to maybe get a different background so it shows up a little bit better. I'd like to build a relay thing too, so maybe it will only kick in the lighting effect when I am actually on the air. But I guess when we're doing this, I pretty much have to. I pretty much have to act like I am on the air because people are watching. We are looking for radio number 5 here on the old Tube Radio Network. All right, and here's just a little update on, we were talking about the trains and the horn sounds. I guess back in the day, the whistle sequences were the only audible way to communicate from the locomotive, you know, from the guys up in the front to the caboose, the guys up in the back. Obviously, you know that the caboose, I guess, is no longer a necessary function, and so they don't exist, at least not on trains. I guess if there's any cabooses, they've all become little restaurants or novelties in somebody's yard. So there were different ways to communicate, and to the employees as you came through. There was different horn signals, several different whistle sequences that would mean different things. So the long, long, short, long, da, da, dit, da, which is a cue, it just happened to be cue, was the one that was assigned to warn motorists of a train crossing a road. So if you still hear people using the cue, da, da, dit, da, that is your cue in the automobile to hang on, to do not cross the tracks until the train goes by. So if you are thinking about getting your ham radio license and want to study the Morse code, you have your first letter down. Q, da, da, dit, da. Listen to the trains. The old Tube Radio Network. We are looking for radio number 5. The break OTR. Go ahead, please. Over.
61 checking in, Dennis.
All right, a good time to do it. It is quiet out there so far. Dean, SWL 61, checking in over on page 3. We will get the X in the square. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, sir. Sorry I'm late.
Not a problem. We are here taking check-ins, radios, SWLs, and comments and questions. The old Tube Radio Network. Thanks. Yeah, it's kind of quiet. I thought I might be hearing some E-skip coming through. Let me pull the radio list out here, and believe it or not, whatever it is that you have, Mr. Harvey, is going to be radio number 5. Over.
Okay. Did you also check in 29? I forgot to mention that. I hope 135 too, unless you did.
Yeah, I didn't hear Cliff on the crossband nor on the AM side, so we got Cliff checked in, and we got the proxy in for Loner as well. Over.
Okay. Alrighty, that'll work. Oh, proxy me in for next week. I'll be working. I don't think I'll be working early enough to get back. Also, I don't know if Larry from Madera checked in. Not to forget his radios that are down at Bill's shop. 2 of them at least are on display right out front. 2 Brownies. Excellent condition cosmetically, and they work well. And of course, I guess they can be tested out right there. Plus, he's got some other ones down there too. Possibly a couple other tube radios too. So, wanted to mention that. And in 2 weeks, if I get it done, I'll have a Brownie for sale, 2-piece one. It's working. Cosmetically, it's not near what Larry got, but it won't be selling for what Larry got. Anyway, and I can throw in a mic too, if the person wants. Anyway, in 2 weeks, I'll hopefully have it on the air here, and people can hear it.
Okay, we will be we will be looking forward to that, and always nice to have some local availability for some classic tube radios. And yes, Larry was actually at the Microphonium tonight and checked in live and direct on one of his classic radios. I have got something really noisy. I guess it's the fan running in the back that's breaking my noise gate. So if you hear somebody like Jingle Bells or something, that's the noisy fan going on in the background. And also the people watching the video wonder what's happening. I've got the headphones strangling me here, but all right, we're looking good. Now, let's talk about the radio that is connected to your Microphonium there. That sounds like it could be something to check in.
Yeah. Ooh. Where am I feeding back? I'm feeding back. Oh, this other one over here. Let me turn it down. Let me hear. I gotta reach it. There we go. Turn it down. This is the Browning R2700A and compact transmitter. Very early radio from the transmitter and receiver. Well, the receiver is probably a little earlier, but the transmitter is their bargain one from 1961-62.
Yeah, and they didn't continue that, so something tells me maybe they weren't good sellers, or maybe it becomes, you sort of become competition to yourself when you start making bargain brands. I think Procter & Gamble figured that out, that if you make a competitive, lesser version of something that you're selling, you actually have to create a separate company and call it something different. Because then, people think, well, the Browning's the top of the line, but they made a compact. Interesting that they did it a couple of years. I'll see if I can find... Our database doesn't have a picture of the compact, and I think I can probably dredge one up here, so we'll do that. But for now, if you're watching the video, we'll give a shot of the receiver, which is the 2700A, which is a classic early 60s Browning receiver. Audio sounds pretty good. It's got a nice compact little ping to go with it. Over.
It says just about 2 to 4. It's actually doing a little more since I'm driving through a whole bunch of stuff. But, oh yeah, They came out first with the T2700 and T2700S, which the power supplies were in the receiver. And this one's also that way. Well, the T2700 has the power supply inside the transmitter because there's room for it, even though these are skinny. The G2700S does not have the power supply. Then they came out with this bargain one. But apparently, after they really started selling these things, people wanted more. And they came out with the S9 and then the 23S9 and sold a ton of those. You don't see too many of these compacts. And the other two I mentioned, T2700, the T2700S. You see a ton of these, a lot of these receivers. The R2700 and the R2700A. You see a bunch of them. Anyway, I like this. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, like you said, it's kind of cute, and it's a novel item in its own right, and there are not many around. And like I said, until you checked in one last week, I don't recall ever checking one in. Okay, there we go. There's, in fact, that might be a 2700A with it, and it's sorry, the picture isn't that great, but if you look, and you're at old2radio.net, or you're watching the video. Let me get it dialed in here. There is the transmitter in which Harvey is talking about. It's called a compact. If you're at any all familiar with Browning transmitters, you can tell it is definitely different. It's definitely different. It looks like there's a window or something above the what I'll call a channel selector, which it may or may not be. And then there's another larger thing. Look like you could put some sticker or something on there. But there is another, the smaller window or something below that. Is that some type of channel selector over?
You have the channel selector knob, and it selects the 5 channels on the left, 5 channels on the right, and right in the center above, the small little window is a crystal socket for external, which is where channel 11 is plugged in. The other positions were all taken, but didn't have 11. Then the big double window above is for your call letters.
Okay, yeah, see, the shot is so bad, the resolution is so bad that it looked like it was a channel selector. So that's just a white, and I can see the 2 little round holes in it now, but that's a crystal socket where you can put a crystal in it. All right, good deal. That explains it, and it sounds as good as a big Browning, that's for sure. It's radio number 5 on the Old Tube Radio Network, and I think you should keep it. Get rid of something else and put that one in there. Actually, don't get rid of anything. Just stack it in there and keep it.
Unamplified G104 with it, and with this mic, it gives it the ping that you hear. Anyway, the other radio that I'll have in 2 weeks is a 23-channel transmitter, 23-channel receiver, and it works fine. I'll have a mic to go with it if somebody wants a mic. And then I'll have to do the cosmetics as far as speech, etc. Once I feel like having it done, I don't know if I will. Let them do it. And I'll clean it up inside as well as I can without really wrecking it. I don't like to do a lot of cleanup to the electronic stuff. And the seat's fine, and the transmit's fine also.
Okay, we'll be looking forward to that. And I just checked. I'm starting to get a little bit of static on your signal there. If I ever get my antenna up higher, I think it will help our situation out between us. Definitely not full quieting, but we're hearing you. I changed the shot. If you're looking at the video or the oldtubradio.net, here is a brochure from Browning, and it shows the receiver, which is the 2700. And then to compare the transmitter, this is a good shot. There's the S9. That's a larger transmitter that has the meter and the knobs on the back, and then the compact, which Harvey is talking on, it is the smaller unit. And I was looking where the microphones plug in. Looks like it's in a different spot. I don't believe it's hardwired, but oh no, it's in the front. Okay, all right. All right, Harvey, thank you. We're going to miss you next week. As you know, you can always tune us in at oldtubradio.net and follow along if you can do that without getting in trouble. And we will catch you next time. But give us another transmission on the Browning. It's Radio 5, the elusive compact transmitter from the early 60s, paired with the R2700A receiver.
Oh, yeah. I like this puppy. So, now there's my other feedback. Anyway, I'm going to keep this one, so it's staying here.
All right, and I can tell you, you have the Harvey range boost on, and it's doing good. I don't think there are many of those around, so keep them in. We have about 10 to 15 minutes left in the net here for your check-ins, whether they be SWL or tube radios. I know it is a warm evening. It is still 91 degrees here in the old tube radio shack, and a lot of people out doing Labor Day weekend things, but we thank those who are able to brave the elements and check radios in. I am looking to see, I'm trying to get the attention of the jingle singers who can tell us about the magic that we do here on Saturday evenings.
What are the magic numbers?
27.085 megahertz, channel 11.
Are the magic letters?
OTR.
Right here in
Fresno, California.
Radio Magic
Old Tube Radio.
for you.
Quick question.
All right, I'm adjusting my RF gain because, man, all of a sudden a big static burst came up here, and I don't drive the SWLs nuts with static coming through their devices. This is the quick question frequency. Go ahead. Okay, your audio severely dropped off, and I did not get the question.
Oh my God! All right, this is working.
All right, try it again. I have some static that's coming through that's making things a little bit rough, so I will listen for your question. Over. All right, maybe I reduced my RF gain too much. The Old Tube Radio Network listening. Yeah, it's getting a signal. It's a little bit above my noise level, but the audio was just a little bit weak, but I didn't get the question. Over.
All right, I'm going to go flip on another radio. That was bad. The Harvey needs to hear what I was supposed to say. All right, I'm going to go flip on another radio, and hopefully that levels things out.
All right, listening KB6 GFD. That could be an item of interest. Over.
The Browning Golden Beagle R68T68. There are many others like it, but this one is mine. Ran it the custom D104 with the Browning medallion on the back. From good old Browning Laboratories. And this one is one of the favorites.
One of the big favorites, and sounding good, and they're always better, as I think Chris and Phil always let us know. They are better when they belong belong to you. The R68 T68, I guess the Browning, some people call it the Browning Mark I, or as Jerry says, the Browning Mark None. Doing a good job. It is Radio 6, over.
Oh, yeah. IMC 104. And, oh, yeah, I like this one, too. The tube complement in the transmitter is pretty much the same as the Browning compact. The only difference is the transformer is in the transmitter, and it's a little beefier. Voltages are about, I'd say, a good 10 to 15% higher all the way around. And there's nothing I can do about that in the compact, because it gets it from the receiver. And the receiver's transformer is smaller. It's the same as the receiver transformer in the Golden Eagle and the R27. So, and possibly the Mark II. I'd have to check that. Yeah. Anyway, so I can't get the compact to do any more. This one starts out at about 4.5, swings to about 14. And that's through all my gizmos. So that's not too bad. Anyway, I'll let you go. Catch you in about 2 weeks.
Okay, and I was looking at the meter, and definitely you have much more forward movement, and that helps with the audio. And it definitely sounds good. Not a problem. The Browning Golden Eagle R68 T68 sounding good. We will continue on your check-ins when you return. But it's sounding good, and we appreciate you stopping in the Radio Shack tonight and putting some items on our list. Don't go away too quickly, because I think SWL 47 is going to be coming in with some information that, if you can hear it, that you might want to hear it as well. So thanks for checking in.
Okay, so I guess maybe this one's working, and if it is working, I've never been so grateful for the instant on feature on this Robin. Hopefully it's working, yes?
It sounds great, over.
Okay, so I think the comment I was making, or at least trying to make a little while ago, that the jingle singers sounded great. Do they take requests?
You know, they take requests, but sometimes I've noticed that regardless of whether you're asking them to do maybe a version of Moon River or some disco thing, a lot of their tunes have a very similar ring to them.
All right. Well, I don't know if it was brought up or not, but I think, unless I'm mistaken, someone has a birthday coming up on Tuesday. I don't know if it was brought up earlier, but happy birthday, Harvey. Harvey's got a birthday coming up. I think it's is it his 29th birthday? I don't know, something like that. But I'm not going to horrify anyone by attempting to sing it right now. So happy birthday, Harvey. I hope you have a good one.
Well, thank you. I wasn't going to mention it. But, yeah, you're right. Tuesday, Labor Day type baby. Last year and this year, kind of, according to my mom. So, there you go. Thank you.
And I think Harvey's a little bit older than that. He's up there with Jack Benning, so he's probably more in the 39 range.
Oh, well, getting older, but still above ground, so there you go. Okay, we thank you. We're going to back out of here and go back in, because it is still pretty hot in here. 109 today, so ouch. Okay, Take care and catch you in 2 weeks, and I'll have that Browning on the air, hopefully, in 2 weeks, and it'll be for sale. People can hear it on the air here, and then I'll take it down to the shop, and it'll be there for people to come in and see.
All right, good deal. I think we actually sold the radio, was it last week or 2 weeks ago? Larry had the Demco, and so see what we can do. All right, we always like the local stuff because it saves on shipping. And Phil has, what does Phil say? Oh, shipping is always free when you pick it up, or something like that. I know I got it wrong, Phil, but I was cracking up when you say that. Let's see. We have Radio 7 is our next item, and I haven't heard Mr. Ed tonight, but I'm going to drag my feet just in case he's in there, and if not, then Michael, you might, because the radio you're on sounds great, so you might want to step in on that one. So we'll see what's happening. The Old Tube Radio Network here in the final moments. And I'm not hearing Mr. Ed, so I think if you've got that standby switch no longer in standby, we can get a Radio 7, over.
Okay. Well, thank you, and greetings from the Radio Lounge for roll call SWO 47. With a lot of noise over here or in my part of town, whatever, I'm not sure. But yeah, for your listening pleasure, I got my Robin T123B, which thankfully had that instant on feature, which kind of got me out of a tricky situation there. I guess the other Robin, is not too happy. I thought it was a microphone problem, but apparently not. Anyways, so yeah, the T123B instant on. No magic eye though. That's my biggest gripe about this one. But it's probably one of the better looking radios in my collection. In fact, when I got it, it was an unfortunate mishap. I think I wound up putting, I think, all new tubes in it. So hopefully it's kind of working for y'all.
It's working great. You know, my noise level came way up, and I don't know what's going on with that. So there's some kind of interference going on outside, so I had to decrease the RF gain a little bit, so not to drive our SWLs nuts, but that's not affecting all these stronger signals coming in. Okay, we've got a shot of the Robin T123B, courtesy of Cliff, one of his great sort of midnight shots there with the radio completely lit up. It's on channel 11. We've got the green light is on, so I'm assuming that's the receive mode. And speaking of green, there's a lot of green on that radio, over.
Yeah, it's kind of hard for me to tell. It's I feel bad saying it's on the bottom shelf, but well, it's on the bottom shelf. But yeah, on receive there is a small little lamp to the left of the channel selector that does light up. I guess that's green. I'll take your word for it. And as I'm transmitting, I can say it does have kind of a pleasant. I think it's a blue light. Again, kind of right in between the S meter and the channel selector. It looks kind of cool. I don't really pay attention to it that often. It does have, I think, 3 other lamps just to the right of the channel selector. It's got a modulation lamp, which with this unamplified mic, it's not doing a whole lot of anything, but it is, well, it's kind of working. I think there's another lamp that lights up. I think if you hook up an external speaker, that'd be pretty cool. I've never seen nothing like that. And what's the other lamp? I can't even see it. Oh, it's the PA. Yeah, what would an old tube TV be without an external PA to address? Well, no one, because I'm sure hardly anyone used that feature.
Yeah, see, a lot of the tube radios have those great, couple of watt audio amplifiers built in there for your audio section. So if you're not directing it into the transmitter, you can direct it out the back into a nice big speaker, and you can, do the citizens, do not be afraid. The Robin T123 Bravo is an import radio, believe it or not, made in Japan. But 12-volt DC, 115-volt AC, depending on the cord, 11 tubes, 2 transistors, back when they were starting to sneak transistors in there, and it's about right. 1972 to 1976, the manufacturer date, and probably the only reason they stopped, because it was a great radio, sold a lot, the only reason they stopped doing it in 1976 was because the 23-channel radios were no longer, in vogue. You needed a 40-channel radio. The picture we're showing has the top out of the 3, I want to say it's more of an amber or yellow light illuminated, and like you said, the blue light is also the receive light. That one's on in our picture. This radio has 11 tubes, and there is a bonus. If you go to oldtuberadio.com, not only can you get the operator's manual for that, but you can also get the T123B schematic. But you're doing a good job. I don't think you need either of those. It's Radio 7. Back to you.
Well, thanks. Yeah, it is a kind of a joy to use this thing. I had, you mentioned the ability to run on AC or DC. I've been tempted to go out on the road lately, but I haven't gotten around to it. It's always fun. I used to really enjoy buzzing around using the other Robin mobile, but I understand that the DC cord for this one, I can't guarantee it'd be the same wiring as the DC cord I have with my other one, if that makes sense. And trust me, folks, the Robin power cords are not interchangeable. Don't do it.
Yeah, I think you're tapping out of your multi-pin plug back there. You're tapping certain of the prongs to do 12 volts or 115 volts, and so you got to make sure you do it right with the right connector. Man, 10:03. Where's the time gone? And it's still 91 degrees. There's no saving cooling breeze coming from anything, including the fans here. So thanks for bringing by the T123B. I take it you are definitely back into the mode of operation Monday through Friday, and probably then some. So hopefully all that is going well, and things got started up correctly, and you're having fun at that. We're having fun with the radios tonight, winding down the old Tube Radio Network, but still a little time to get your stuff checked in. So back to you, Mike, and thanks for bringing by the Robin.
Okay. Yeah, well, I think thanks for providing us a place on Saturday night to play with these magnificent toys. These are real classics. Who cares about the new, I think it's the 10-year anniversary iPhone that's coming out? Screw it. I like using these things better. So thank you for letting us use these things. Everyone sounds great on it. It's a great way to spend a Saturday night. And on that, I think I'm going to bid you a good evening and have a great week, everyone.
Okay. And we have helped improve the iPhone by making the Old Tube Radio Network available on the live stream at oldtuberadio.net, so you can put it on your iPhone and then give your iPhone something useful to do. Was there a breaking station? This is the Old Tube Radio Network listening. Okay, nothing heard. We've got the jingle singers. Let's get them in here. We're going to do some counting and amounting. I see the orchestra ready for our fanfare for the totals, and maybe a few more check-ins if you can do it. The Old Tube Radio Network. Listen.
Let's do some spelling.
OTR. 27.085 megahertz. Channel 11, Old Tube Radio. Old Tube Radio.
Break.
The break, go ahead.
Yeah, we're just wondering how this old radio is sounding out there.
That old radio is sounding good. I'm in Midtown Fresno, and you are 15 dB over S9 with some very good audio, over.
Roger that. That's what we wanted to hear. Yeah, I heard you guys talking out there a lot, and I just wanted to get your intake. What do you think of an old Tram Golden 60?
Boy, I wonder if Harvey is listening. Let me see if I can do any info on the Golden 60. I'm actually not familiar with that radio, but if that is what you have, it's sounding pretty good. Over.
Yeah, we also picked up you familiar with an old Golden Falcon Model 150?
Yes.
What's your intake on those?
Well, I don't know if I can, since I've never owned one, I'm not sure I can speak too well on those. Over.
Roger that. Just checking. I picked them up, picked up the pair real reasonable, so I went ahead and got them.
Okay, and I'm going to see if I can get a shot. We're also streaming this audio online at oldtuberadio.net, and we have listeners from all over, and I'm going to submit a shot of the Tram 60, and it looks like if I've got the right one. You've got your S meters on the left side, channel selector, and then you've got some 4 switches on the top. Is that correct?
Correct, and it's also upper and lower.
Okay, yeah, nice little radio with the silver front compact. We've got a shot of it over at oldtuberadio.net. So looks pretty nice, and it sounds good.
Roger that. We sure appreciate the comeback. Didn't mean to interrupt your conversation there.
Not a problem. This is the Old Tube Radio Network. We are on this frequency every Saturday from around 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. We have actually been doing what we do for the last 35 years, and we hang out and talk to a lot of the older radios that go by the name of Tram and Browning and Sonar and Lafayette that had tubes, and lots of them. And think of it as, the vintage car show up at Chubby's when you see the fins and chrome. This is the vintage radio show as we show off the fins and chrome of 11 meters. So thanks for stopping by.
10-4 on that. Name's Jim. I appreciate the comeback, and you have a good evening.
All right, thanks, Jim, for stopping by. My name is Dennis, and I'm calling for any last check-ins to the Old Tube Radio Network.
You're tuned to
OTR. Channel 11.
right here in
Fresno, California.
Stay with us
Old Tube Radio.
and be modern.
Ladies and gentlemen, time now for the current OTR totals.
All right, this will be the current final. Boy, the jingle singers are really loud tonight. I can't even talk over the fanfare. So, Bozo Control, you did a good job of rewiring things. I don't think we had any problems tonight, and everybody sounded loud over in the other studio. All right, that's it for you all over in Studio B there. Thank you for helping us out with the jingles and things at, what is it, 10:10 in Pacific Coast Daylight Time. Let's go through the, oh man, it is warm in here. 91 still. Let's go through what we did. I don't think we broke anything, and see where's my information. All right, SWLs. We had 11 check-in on page 1, 13 on page 2, 15 on page 3, and 15 on page 4. Page 3 and 4 doing good tonight, and we did add, if you're playing the home game, SWL 83 on page 4, JT, who listens in, dials in over at oldtuberadio.net and enjoys all of your radios that you bring by. And not sure if he has any himself, but he's probably got a pretty decent Radio Shack to tune us in. Thanks, JT, We'll look for you next time. Radios tonight. We had a total of 7. I guess not good, not bad. We've done better, but not bad for a holiday weekend and when it is extremely warm around the Central Valley here tonight. A lot of people are not wanting to jump into the Radio Shack, and we can understand that. Out of the 7 radios tonight, the most heard manufacturer was a tie between the Browning Laboratories and Lafayette. Started off tonight with the General Radio Telephone Super MC12. Thanks to Paul for that one. And Paul gave us a lot from his collection tonight. He also had Radio 2, was the Lafayette HE20C. And from what we find out, there are a few of them out there. Crazy Bob saying he's got a couple in the pick the radio pile. So hopefully some of them work. But we know that yours works, Paul, and it is archived for all to hear. The Lafayette Comstat 25A, radio number 3, also from Paul. Thanks for your help, Paul, tonight to get us on the radio board. Larry on his Gemtronics GTX 5000. And the railroad train coming through, sounding good. Browning R2700A and the compact transmitter, a very rare item from Browning Laboratories in the early 60s, a budget item, but there are still a few around, and we heard one tonight, Radio 5. Harvey also brought by the classic Browning, Laboratories Golden Eagle R68 T68. And Harvey, we will be looking forward in a couple of weeks to the other Browning that you will bring by that is going to be for sale. So check the piggy banks. Maybe you can pick up a new Browning for your radio collection coming up in a couple of weeks. And then we tied it all together with Mike SWL47 and the Robin T123B. Thanks to all those listening. Let's go over to the oldtuberadio.net side. Hello, San Diego, still in there. Madera, Dallas, Georgia, listening in. Santa Rosa still with us. Thanks for tuning in. SWL 00 hanging in there. North Carolina. Toll House is in. I think that's 128. Showing up in Tilly tonight. But I think you're elsewhere, but that's okay. We got you checked in. Thanks for listening. Lots of Fresno stations, New York, a lot of people tuning in at oldtuberadio.net and also watching in live or maybe not so live if you're on the replay here on the Google YouTube video. I want to say thanks to SearchLawrence.com and Frodex who keep the Nixie tubes running and to help us with all the digital stuff. And thanks to you keeping us on the air for all these many years, 3 or 4 decades worth of checking in radios and shortwave listeners, and we appreciate it. We'll keep doing it as long as you are out there making noise on the two-way radio. 73, everybody, the Old Tube Radio Network here in Central California, saying 73, and we'll be back next weekend.
Thank you, Dennis. Good night. Good night.
Checking in. I got a lot of static over here.
Who is that checking in? Over. Was that 53? He's got a lot of static. If that's you, Bob, you are checked in. We got you checked in, and we'll make sure the X is in the square. Thank you.
Okay, Dennis, thank you very much. I had somebody proxy me. I wasn't sure if I got in there or not, but have a good night. Thank you, Dennis. Bye-bye.
Yeah, we got you proxied in here live and direct, so we'll make it a big X in the square. Thanks, Bob. And 73 from the Old Tube Radio Network. And good night on the YouTube video. We'll catch you next time on the Old Tube Radio Network.